The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Café. This is the United Podcast Network.
If you're building or buying or selling a home, the Real Estate Crew's got news for you at the Real Estate House Party.
With attorney Rick Carter,
Real Estate House Party.
paralegal Kathy Holtshouser,
Real Estate House Party. Come in, have fun.
and comedian Tony V. Now, here's real estate attorney Rick Carter.
Welcome and thanks for joining us here on the Real Estate House Party.
Hey,
Thank you,
thanks for
Kathy
having us.
Holtshouser and Tony V.
So nice to be back.
I know. I love Tuesdays are my favorite.
Tuesdays are your favorite days. Do you remember how we got the Real Estate House Party?
Yeah. Because we used to do Keeping It Real Estate.
Then somebody had
I
that.
think Renee came up with the from the Jig Isles one, right? Nothing but a house
Oh,
party.
yeah, nothing but a
right.
house
So
party.
a few weeks ago we said that. That's one guy I'd like to have on, Peter Wolf.
Peter Wolf
Can we
would
get
be
Peter
good.
Wolf on? All right, you think about that one.
You know, Peter Wolf is.
We were told just to talk notes today, so
Well,
Here we go.
Peter Wolf's very important. He shows up at the end of Bruce Springsteen concerts like an apparition.
oh really?
He just
floats
shows
in?
up. He's not there the whole show.
Really?
You go to do the encore, and you look and you go, "Is that Peter Wolf?"
What's
And
he, in
he's
the
just
audience?
No, he must
he
be
just-
backstage, and he comes out and does a couple of the songs.
Oh. Why wouldn't he go for the whole show?
I've seen it about a half a dozen times.
Really?
I'm sure he's there for the whole show.
Okay.
But it's not like he doesn't get introduced.
Right,
Yeah.
He just shows up.
It's not like, hey, Peter Wolf. Afterwards, they'll go, that was Peter Wolf. But he's just there. He appears.
Yeah.
we got to
like a
get him to
genie.
appear on our
Yeah.
show.
That'd
be
be
pretty
so
interesting.
funny.
That'd
Yeah.
be interesting. Let's keep working on that.
I'll have you do the question answer.
Oh, we'd have a lot of questions for
All right, so
So a few weeks ago, weren't we talking about? We have a little
few
bit of a
weeks
time
ago we
lapse.
went
So,
off.
yeah.
We went way off track.
Yeah, that was your fault. You were
Why?
talking about the wine country.
And then you had to tell about how you went through Reading
Oh, your
Square.
stories are more important than ours? Is that what you're saying?
That's not what I'm saying.
Is she implying that?
That's what she means.
Well, that is a
She
great
not be
story.
saying it explicitly.
I like the other
that
one,
is
but
the
you can't tell it
subtext.
on the air.
Yeah.
What's the other one?
When your brother's friend pulled you over. or
Oh
your
no,
brother-
don't tell that one.
That was-
no more
that's my
skies.
favorite.
I know, but my family's so sick of hearing my stories, and they won't watch these shows anymore.
Oh, the time you turn the heat up to 90.
Nope, none of those stories. None of those stories. Today we're going to tell all stories about, because I thought that was an interesting subject. We kind of got waylaid for the last couple shows because we brought on different guests. Well, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Your
Um,
excuses.
Excuses. So, but we want to bring it back around again on different, how to be proactive to a buyer, seller, broker, on how to nip things in the bud. We talked about it a lot at our boat port
Yes,
class.
we did. Wasn't that fun?
It was very good. Did you like that?
I enjoy those.
They love having
Tony,
you
they
there.
love you there.
Well, that's because
You're you.
Because you're adorable.
it's the dimples.
Yeah. And it might be your shining smile. And maybe they.
Lets me
and-
get away with a lot more than I should.
Right. But the other thing is real estate is so boring at times. So when they see you come up, they know
Yeah,
that
and
the class is almost over.
Right.
And Tony is going to make us laugh.
Oh boy, we can eat soon.
Tony's going to get us over the top.
It's like
I'm
the
like,
vital
Oh,
push.
I've heard Rick Carter for an hour and a half.
Oh, my ho,
I'm
ho.
like Pavlov's belt.
We start salivating when
Right.
Tony comes
Tony's
up.
on. Dinner can't be far behind.
If I hear Rick Carter talk about permits one more time.
I'm going to ask you to talk about it one more
All
time.
right, one more time. Yeah, because it is important.
It is.
Well, did you have
I've had a lot of problems
a
with
client this
did.
week that had a permit problem?
Yes, and then they end up not selling the property. All right, here's one thing. On a seller's description of property, which is an optional form in Massachusetts,
It's optional.
it's optional, but being correct on it isn't optional. How's that?
Right.
So if you choose to do it,
Do it
it's gotta
correctly.
be accurate.
Exactly.
Right. You can't say there's a,
No, why
there's
is
a
it-
lake with the
No, I know.
swans out
Why
there.
is it
Exactly.
optional? Why is it optional?
Just in sell it, I'll tell you why.
You don't have to.
You don't have to. In Massachusetts,
I know what optional means, but
well, you've
like,
been away for the wine country, so we're just trying to make sure you're back.
Listen.
Here's. I know what you're trying to.
Okay.
I know what you're saying.
Thank you.
All right. So in Massachusetts, it's called, and we talked about this a lot at our, and it'll be up in my upcoming book too. So,
good.
That you two are writing the intros
Yes.
for. We are called a caveat emptor.
No, I'm
check your
getting-
time out like it's 4 minutes in and you want to go.
I'm getting a news alert.
All right. What's your news alert? Tell
That
everyone.
23 kids reported killed in an attack on camp from displaced
No. You didn't
people.
get that. That happened weeks ago. So
I just got that.
no, you didn't. That's 3 weeks old at this point.
No, I just.
She doesn't.
Maybe you're still
Tony,
on,
help her out.
Maybe you're still on California time. Maybe you're still on California time.
Yeah.
You're 3 hours behind.
Don't always argue. Sometimes I'm right.
Okay, you're right.
That's all.
What day is it? I don't even know what month it is.
Kathy's got a delayed left arm.
Man.
You're reporting news from 3 weeks ago. So all right. Okay. That was my fault. I asked you what the news was. So
Right, that was totally your fault.
It's totally my fault. Never happen again. So.
All right.
So back to sellers. We live in a caveat emptor state, which means
Caveat emptor means
buyer beware.
buyer beware.
So in other words, a lot of other states in New England actually makes sellers disclose a lot more than they do in
Yes,
Massachusetts.
New Hampshire is very lengthy disclosure.
Yeah. They say you got to disclose about radon, this, and this, whereas in Massachusetts, caveat emptor, you're on your own.
Okay.
So since you're on your own, you don't have to fill out that form as a seller.
Also,
As
as
a
a
seller.
seller, if they ask you a question, a pointed question, you have to tell the truth.
You have to
Right.
answer.
So there's the exception.
You have to answer it, and therefore,
Yeah,
if you answer it, you have to answer it truthfully.
Yeah.
If you answer it
Or can
if you
you go-
answer it, it has to be truthfully.
Or can you go, no. I don't want to answer that.
No,
I don't
that's
think-
actually
can
a
you
real
plead the
good
fifth?
point.
Can
I
you
actually
plead the
want to.
fifth?
No, that's a good point because I wanted to talk to a litigating attorney about that because sometimes I'm asked questions in a purchase and sale, and I just delete them. So I'm wondering. They are actually kind of asking me, but I'm not. I'm ignoring it by
Ignoring it,
deleting
right.
it. You know what I mean? So they kind of.
Yeah, that's your answer. That's the
The
answer.
answer is,
So-
the answer is I don't feel like dealing with it.
So
That's
if
right.
you have water in the basement, you've had a flooding in the basement in Massachusetts. If I'm a potential buyer and I said, have you had water in your basement directly to the seller?
Well,
or
let's
the
even back up.
listing-
If you're a potential buyer, you're not going to know about it unless, if there's a broker, they have different higher stands. We'll talk about that later. But
Right.
But that seller doesn't have to just automatically tell you that.
Unless I ask.
Unless you ask.
Unless I ask
Right.
specifically. And that's in Massachusetts, that's not a uncommon question.
Yeah, like
Right.
if you have a buoy in the basement, that would be
Yeah.
a tip.
Indicative.
That would be indicative of water.
Blown up
Right.
pool toys.
Right.
Another good tip is if you ever been on the cruises, some of the better cabins only have pictures of the outside.
Outside, yeah.
So if
This
you
is
just
what
see a
you
lot.
should be looking at. Right.
Those are the better cabins?
No, those are
The-
worse.
the
The
worst.
Yeah.
real cabins
Yeah.
have the views.
Yeah.
For some reason, my last one, my whole family put me in that one where I had pictures all over the walls instead of.
Oh my God. I would be so claustrophobic.
Oh my
claustrophobic.
God,
I know.
I
I know.
Look.
I know. So back to that. That's a really good point because I had a situation like that where, again, a seller's description of property, people get too fancy about things, because they're worried about people not buying it if they don't put the right
And
information
almost
in.
like they're giving away too much information, right?
Right. So one person put in, we get a little puddling in the corner. And don't you know the buyer buys it, calls right away. It was a little puddling. No, it was water
a
everywhere.
big puddle.
So you can't qualify if it's not correct.
Right.
Right.
And my point is,
Yes, we get water in our basement.
just do it.
Yeah.
Answer
Just fess
it. So,
up. Just fess up.
Just
You-
answer the question
in this
because as a
market, people-
buyer they're gonna put a sump pump in or
People
get
are going
it
to
fixed.
buy the property. You know what? Can I give you a couple examples of people buying stuff in this market? Because it's so hard. The housing is
yeah,
still
so very, very
supply and
yeah.
demand. They
Yeah.
can't find any housing. Here's two situations. One is a friend of ours in Wakefield sold a house that was on one of those ghost shows that it was haunted.
A haunted house.
Yeah. And he
For
put it right
how
in.
much?
I didn't know the price, but he put it right in the MLS. Says, the house is haunted. So sold in a day.
Oh, that's the house I want.
Yeah.
What the
Can I
haunted
give you a
house?
better one? So I was talking to a friend of mine, and they were saying, they just bought a house. I'm still, sidebar, I still always think, after all the closings we've done, I said, how come they didn't use us? I always think that for any clothes that
Me
I've
too.
anything in Massachusetts.
Anyone
Why-
that I
why
know
did
that
they
says
use us?
they bought
Right,
a
right.
house or sold a house.
So that was
I'm
my
like,
first thing. But I said, and they said, you got a real good deal on this. So let me know if you guys would buy this house.
Go ahead.
I said, well, why did they get a good deal on it? Well, it's because of the person who lives downstairs.
Oh,
They have a squatter
there's a squatter?
in the house.
the reason they didn't use you is because you
No,
wouldn't
no,
have
no.
let them buy the house.
I would not let them buy a house with a squatter.
You can squat?
You're not
Yeah.
supposed to, but people do it. And these people bought the house. They said, you can buy this house.
Right.
It's going to be a little cheaper than normal. Oh, okay, this is great. Why is it being cheaper than normal? Because there's a guy in the basement who won't leave.
Oh.
That's it. I'm not making this up. And there's no more
my
facts
God.
to
And
it.
they have but the thing is, that guy has no rights to be there.
No rights.
But then he doesn't.
I go,
he's
does
not
he
gonna
pay
leave.
rent? No, he doesn't pay rent. I go, they just let him stay. Well, he got a good house price. I'm not making that up.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't do anything to evict somebody who
You
doesn't
should
belong
be
in
able
your
to
house.
because he has
It
no.
doesn't have
Can't
a
call
lease?
somebody and go, there's a guy in my house.
I mean, they could
I
get
would-
ants out, right? I mean,
I would
isn't there a
think
company that gets?
There must
Don't you
be-
have some friends that can get them out?
Oh, I have friends who can get them out, yeah. you know,
Do you know who I am?
I don't know if I ever told this story, but I once was going to buy a house on the Cape
Yeah.
from an acquaintance, from a friend of mine, and we were really close. It was a little Cape house, and we think about it at the time. He goes, my brother lives on a boat in the front yard, and you're going to have to evict him.
Really?
Yeah, I go,
Yeah.
Oh, so that's pretty
I want to
close.
remain friends with you.
Yeah, no.
Because your idea of eviction and his are totally
Yeah,
different.
I know how you're-
I just hook up a
I was just gonna
truck to
say.
the boat and pull it away.
I thought you were going to get your BB gun
Yeah,
out.
No,
I don't
but
know
you're
how
right.
boat
Or your,
Just listen, I got some good news and bad
machete.
news. Good
You
news
know,
and bad news.
And getting back to the haunting,
Yep.
I say this all the time. I live
Yeah.
on Bunker Hill,
Yeah.
the site of one of the bloodiest battles in the Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
Over 400 people died
On your street.
on my stoop.
Yes.
One of
You
the
know,
bloodiest.
Right. You would think
One of the bloodiest
battles
in
Turning
American
point
history.
In American history. You'd think I'd be tripping over ghosts at night. You know what I mean?
You might be.
You know, hey, General Warren, you want to hold my dog while I light my cigar? I don't really get it. I don't. Is it? I'm just not susceptible to it, or
Maybe they don't like
Maybe
you.
they,
maybe
no,
they don't-
no, maybe
maybe
they,
they
do
don't
like
cigar
you.
smoke.
Yeah,
Maybe
no,
they're afraid of you.
no, maybe they do like you. Say, we're
Yeah.
not going to haunt Tony.
That's so funny.
Yeah, but this house was supposedly on one of those shows is haunted, and I know what the criteria is.
Yeah.
You know, I have a feeling sometimes whatever. It's probably some sort of electrical. Don't turn away.
You know, I had,
No, I was thinking of.
you know, now that we're on the
haunted-
the other world.
Yeah,
I have an idea.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You know when you go
Does
visit,
this help in the supply demand
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
housing market?
somewhat.
Not really, though.
No, not really. It's just a
Do we
joke.
have ghosts coming in to
No,
get
no,
people
it's
out
just a joke.
to sell their houses quicker?
A lot of cemeteries now.
Yep.
You can't have stand up straight headstones.
Yes, that's right.
Why?
That's right.
Because of accidents and
Yeah.
you know,
No, that's
space
true.
and stuff like
'Cause
that.
people riding their bikes all around it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so they have these slanted,
Yep.
you know,
Yeah.
almost ground things, but they're like a triangle almost.
Yeah. Yep.
Why not drill a hole in them and play cornhole
That's a great idea.
while you're visiting your loved one?
Yeah.
It'd keep you there longer.
Yeah.
You can fill the bags with another loved one's ashes if you wanted.
So you want to make it just like a whole family day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd
all
keep
right.
you there longer.
Maybe you have
know.
a barbecue pit.
I'm not saying turn it into a.
Oh,
a
I'm kidding.
circus.
How come it's always
Let's not get
the one?
let's not get
'Cause you-
ridiculous about it.
You always just take it one
Oh,
step.
I take it when he wants cornhole in the middle of a graveyard.
But
You
yeah,
guys-
so then you could, you could toss them to. You go, I'm gonna go visit Grandpa now, and you toss the
All
bag.
right, if
over
there's no
that way.
barbecue pit, do you have a
No, no.
concession stand?
You- Food truck, you can have.
All
food
right, you do have a
trucks.
food
yeah,
truck.
Sure.
All right.
Well, you can have a.
Are we yelling? Are we yelling?
Yeah.
Yes, we're yelling. Okay.
We could have a fire pit. They could have a fire pit
Yeah.
because that's
Of
where
the ashes don't
Yeah.
start.
Yeah, sure. Just a thought.
I thought it was him that was going to come up with that
Yeah,
one.
just a thought.
I thought you were going to say with the sellers don't want to sell these days. I thought you were going to send a few demons down to their houses to get them out of the house.
Oh, you can do that.
Yeah,
or you
scare them.
You could smudge it. They do the Italians do it with the branches.
Yeah.
They will go deghost the house for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do they call that?
An exorcism?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. All
Wow.
right.
We did. Where were we? We didn't get through our permit story. That was in minute 1.
No, so I just heard this story. No, about the open permits.
All right, go ahead.
A mutual acquaintance or
Yeah.
someone that we work with in the industry
Yep.
had a buyer, and he couldn't go to the open house with his buyer. It was a 3-family house, and he finds out that the house was only is zoned for
Yep.
2 families.
Yep.
And the third thing is not even a legal address, and the listing.
The third apartment's not even a legal third apartment.
Yes.
Yep.
But the listing agent told our friend's buyer, "Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it."
Yeah.
And then the other big problem I saw was that the house was full of lead paint.
Oh.
And so the buyer was a little bit concerned about
The lead paint.
Am I going to have to get rid of this lead paint? Whatever.
Yeah.
And the listing agent said, "We get around this all the time. Don't worry about it."
And then
That's not truthful.
No.
No.
That's
And then the third thing was,
about the financing.
yes, he said he
'Cause-
was thinking about buying it as a primary
Right.
residence, one of the
Which
units.
was illegal.
What do you mean?
No, go ahead. You finish the story, and I'll explain
he,
why you're not supposed to say that. Well, I'll jump right in there.
No,
Go
the
ahead.
buyer originally was going to do that, but then he found out that there were long-term tenants in there.
Oh, okay.
And then
so he was originally trying to plan.
Yeah,
it.
and then so it turns into a non-owner
I
occupied
see.
property, and the interest rate will change
dramatically. Sure.
Yes. And the listing agent told the potential buyer that I have a lender that will push it right through.
And look the other way.
Look the other way.
All right. So,
I wouldn't deal with this person.
Good point.
And I am very unscrupulous.
Right.
Yeah.
So you hit about 5 things. We could knock those off altogether. All right. Number 1, permits. Anyone's buying a house, first thing I always tell them, go and buy a permit, because we had a situation where
Not buy a permit.
check into the house before you buy the
Yes,
house. I'm sorry.
yes.
So we had a situation where I was trying to get to my
Because you're not
stories
supposed
quickly.
to. You're not supposed to buy the building inspector. Get it?
Yeah.
Right.
Talking about being
You can't
unscrupulous.
buy a permit.
But anyway, we had a story or a situation where a guy called me, and I just happened to ask him, why aren't you using your old attorney and your old broker when you're selling, because you just sound like you bought a couple of years ago. He says, well, they didn't alert me to check into whether building permits were open or not. And when I went down to do my addition so I could sell the house, the building inspector said, what about these permits that you never closed or was never closed out? Cost him $15,000 to close out all those permits
Why?
because there's electrical.
Because the work wasn't done?
Right, the electrical wasn't up to code.
Knob and tube.
Knob and tube and wiring.
Knob and tube wiring.
Knob and tube
You
wiring.
see it all the time.
So
Oh, you're talking about wiring.
No, I
she
wasn't.
isn't.
I actually wasn't.
All right.
You were.
I
She,
was.
yeah. So that's the first thing. You got to find out if those permits are closed because you're going to inherit those permits.
Right.
All right.
And you're going to inherit those
All right.
problems.
Next step is the seller shouldn't make things up in the seller's description of property, like we had this situation where I know we're talking quick now, but we're going to hit all those 5 points. So the broker shouldn't say, "Don't worry about that." Just say it. People
Do
buy.
not put in your 2 cents.
Someone's going to deal with it.
Someone's got
Represent
to
the
deal
property.
with it. Buyers are
Represent the
buying houses
property.
with squatters in the basement. They certainly can handle if there's if they have the
That would
knowledge
be a good place to have water in the basement.
with the squatter.
Flood the guy out.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we're thinking.
Now we're thinking. Now we're thinking. So that takes care of the permits situation. Seller's description of property, that should take care of that. You have to be accurate. It's optional, but most buyers won't buy the house unless they see that form. And that form, not to really get crazy, but it's starting to change the balance between seller and buyer, since in Massachusetts, caveat emptor, It's more on the seller's side unless you ask questions. So if you ask all those questions in the seller's description of property, it's starting to get, get the playing field a little bit more even.
Right.
All right. So what else do you hit? Lead paint. Lead paint, you have to give a bunch of, there's one things in Massachusetts you do have to give. There's probably two things. You got a septic system you got to tell a buyer about, and you got to allow
there's lead paint.
And you got to allow
And it's obvious,
a buyer.
the age of the home,
Right.
and
Anything
the
before
location.
78, right?
it's obvious that it has lead paint.
Right.
So you have to deal with it in one way,
just got to
shape,
give
or
a bunch
form.
of disclosures to the buyer.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Maybe when you write your book, Rick,
Yeah.
you could have like a page of just checks.
Yeah.
Is the property haunted?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there a squatter?
Check. Those would be the two top questions.
Yeah.
How deep is the water in your basement?
Oh my God.
Are there any graveyards in the backyard?
Right.
And do they have a cornhole pit or
Okay,
not?
right.
Now, I do have my due diligence checklist that you say it. You think I'm making this stuff up?
No.
That's one thing.
I'm months away, but I don't have those two items on yet.
You
so
should.
You should add them.
I'm going to add those. So,
If I ever buy anything again, the first question is
there
this
squatters?
place haunted?
Okay. Circle back.
all right, circle back. What other? So, lead paint. Lead paint is, there's like 4 things in Massachusetts you got to do. You got to tell them if there's a private septic system. You got to give a smoke detector certificate. If there's a condo being sold, this is pretty good. This is really helping us out for the book that we're all writing together,
Right.
sounds like now. If there's a condo, you got to give a 6
I got the
certificate.
first chapter and the last chapter. I
Right.
got the first word and the last
in
word.
the intro, yeah.
Oh,
geez,
in the intro.
That's a shock. You get
Can
the
my
first
picture-
word in, last word.
Yeah.
And
That's
What
about
the-
right.
I'm sorry. I didn't know you were paying attention.
That's about right.
can my picture go on the back?
In the front.
Yeah.
And the intro. You know what we'll do? We'll have like 20 pages in between, just photos of the office employees.
Oh my God, we have the greatest. How about me with Doug Flutie?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah.
How about you with Norm?
That's a great picture.
I was so mad.
I
goes-
gotta, Norm from Cheers?
Yeah.
This is great. So I go to a golf tournament. These guys are all working.
No,
their-
he says, can you cover my closing for me today at 11? I have somewhere to be.
I go to a golf tournament. Norm's there. I love
And I don't
Norm.
even know. I was covering. I would have covered because he's my boss.
Of course.
Yeah.
But I was wicked pissed because then I saw. Then he sent me a picture of him
George
and
Wendt,
Norm
yeah.
In a golf
in a
cart.
golf cart.
And how about the smile I had on my
Oh
face?
my God! I'm like, I'm gonna kill him. Because I would have found someone else to do the closing, and I would have gone with you.
Yeah, I know. I had to meet Norm. That was a good one.
Yeah. Meanie.
So, lead paint, you're required to give that in Massachusetts. Bunch of forms. You got to give them 10 days to inspect it. You can't fiddle with that rule at
Right.
all. So, what was the you had a couple other.
The
you
owner
can't,
occupied.
You can't. Here's the deal. In the old days, you used to be able to tell a bank, yeah, you know what? I plan on being this my principal residence, and like a day later, saying, after you buy it,
Right.
say, oh no, I decided against it, and you could get away with it. Now you
you
have to be there.
can't.
Most banks say you got to be there for about
Don't we
a
have a
year.
client that has 5 principal residences?
Wow.
We're like, no. So where should we mail this to?
Oh, mail it to my where I live. I go, well, didn't you just buy something where you live? Hey, that's a good question. I have someone. We
How
kid
many
about-
principal residences can you have? Just
one.
the one.
Yeah.
And that's the one you can't lose in a poker game, right?
No.
yeah.
No, you can't. Mostly you
Yeah,
can't.
mostly can't. But
Depends
that's
If you
good
have a
point.
wife.
Right.
If you don't have a wife,
You could lose
could
the wife easier in the poker game
Yeah.
than the house.
I'd bet the wife before I'd bet the house.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Because you probably have a homestead affidavit
Yeah,
on here.
more
We'll
than
talk
likely.
about that
Yeah.
one.
But now it's automatic, right? Up to.
A little bit of it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You put that affidavit to increase it.
Right.
We're getting a lot of subject on today.
So we wanted to talk about the.
We gotta
owner.
finish
You
up.
can't lie. You cannot lie.
You don't have to tell, but if you do tell, you have to tell the truth.
No, but
Yeah, exactly.
But even like if you can't.
Let's put that on our reel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't lie. That's my bottom line. So when you're buying a house as a primary residence,
Yes.
a lot of different things happen. Like if you're moving into that property, you get a better interest rate. But if you're not, you're going to use it as rental. It needs to be underwritten differently. And
Right.
And honestly, there's a form in our forms that says
says-
I have not misrepresented any of this information. So, and you also sign saying this is
Right, you're
this
signing
is going to be
papers.
my primary. This is my primary
Right.
residence.
You're signing papers saying you're not lying.
If they found
there is a
out,
form that says that.
Right.
But if they-
it has on the top,
Yeah.
I am not committing mortgage fraud.
Right.
I love that one.
it's
That's a
mortgage
good one.
Because if you're committing mortgage fraud, aren't you going to sign that form
yeah,
anyway?
and I
anyway.
say, hey, hang on a second. I might be committing. Do I need to
Mortgage
sign
fraud.
this
I was
form?
going to commit mortgage fraud until I saw this notice.
Yeah.
I
Is
wasn't
this
supposed to do
optional?
it.
Is fraud optional?
Now, what do you consider fraud? Can you tell me exactly? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, so the thing is the bank could probably foreclose on your house, right?
Exactly. They can call in the note.
Call the note due and payable that day.
And if you don't pay the note, then they could call it in.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sure.
Related to that one, that's a good one.
Yeah.
And I always kid about this. Well, I had one guy once who got a first-time home buyer program.
Right.
And
Wasn't his first time.
Wasn't his first time.
I've known women like that.
Of course you have. Okay then.
Honest, this is my first time.
So what happened to that guy? Stop it.
All right. So that guy got in a little bit of trouble. But I have another one related to that, whereas this poor guy legitimately didn't think he owned a property, but his grandmother out of Connecticut was trying to do everyone some family estate planning, put him on as trustee to the grandmother's house in Connecticut. The bank considered that him owning it. And they got this, banks have this countrywide search engine where they can find any property you
Anywhere.
own. Anywhere. Right. So they found out
That he technically owned
and
it.
he says, I don't know that. I didn't
my
know
favorite.
I
I
didn't
was
even
trustee.
know I owned that.
Right.
So isn't that
That's kind of a kick in the pants,
That's a
huh?
kick in the pants,
You get
right.
you get like looking a gift horse in the
Right.
mouth.
right, exactly.
Right?
So all of a sudden,
Now,
right.
do putting properties in trust have any benefit to this?
Oh my God, he's so good, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's good.
Because that was a softball.
He is so good.
I know things.
You know, I told you why people told me I was a genius, right? And it's coming through to fruition.
Who told?
I've had several people.
Who told you?
Several people.
Was it me?
No, definitely
No,
not you.
not you.
No, several people tell me I'm a genius, and I said, I know, but tell me why you're thinking I'm a genius. He goes, because you have Tony V on a real estate show. This is way back when.
Yeah.
You know,
When
I
tell
do
people-
think you're
So-
a genius because you were able to drive 2 towns away home.
In reverse.
In reverse.
That's not being a genius. That's being a little bit soft, but that's.
Yeah, anyway.
No, that's genius because
yeah.
a lot of people wouldn't have been able to figure it out.
A lot of people would have just called a tow company. And
I know, but
I
that's
know, I know.
all right. So you're not a genius.
No, not for that reason, but for having Tony V on a
But
real
now I
estate
feel
show.
slighted.
You're already called.
Now I feel slighted.
The paralegal extraordinaire. You
Yeah.
don't get that just by.
You don't get,
By showing up
do you
at
know
12,
anyone else
just
called
cut-
it? Yeah.
Showing up at
Called-
12?
Yeah, I know. 12 and leaving at 1:30.
with my coffee.
Let's think about some of the excuses you've had lately. So, tax returns you had to get done. Dentist is always a favorite of yours. Now that you're going 6 times a year. Doctors, estate planning, or financial planning. Now she has a dog, and now the same reason she's late for her now is for the dog. So now the dog has to get a haircut.
Sure.
Now the dog has to
go
get
to the
Shots.
doctor.
Exactly.
Dog has to go to the
So everything's like in duplicate now.
Yeah.
Right. I know. So.
Sure. If she ever comes in and says one of us has to be neutered, that's when you would start questioning. That's when I would.
That's when I would say
Right.
she's doing anything to
Hey,
get out of
Daddy,
this
get out
work.
of
Well, I've had appendix 3 times.
You've had 6 grandmothers die, right?
Yeah.
That can be rough.
Yeah.
sad.
Oh, it was tough.
You lose 8 or 12 family
I just
members
figured
in
I
a
was
week.
using-
It's rough.
I'm using up all my earned.
Because I think I'm in appendicitis. She was pointing at the right side. I said, I think it's on the left side. Is it? No, well.
Oh yeah.
There it is.
Now.
How about we kid? We did have that one girl that really did have some psychological issues. She used to come in legitimately.
Who?
Well, I won't say her name, but remember she had cancer one day and she put
Oh,
a
my
Band-Aid on her
God.
Just would a Band-Aid take care of cancer? So
Oh, it depends on the kind.
She puts her leg up on the chair like nothing, and she goes.
A lot of the 24-hour cancer goes around. You just get a touch.
No, and I knew she was not telling the truth, and because she didn't have health insurance, and Coleman wanted to pay for it.
Well, we used to get mail to her with 4 different names.
I said, guys, please don't
There's
pay.
something right here.
Something's not right here.
She told me her mom left and went to Florida like forever.
Yeah.
And her mother calls, and I go, oh, hold on. She's on the phone, but I'll interrupt her because I know you're on the road. And she goes,
What?
I'm at work. Have her call me at work. And I'm like, why does anyone lie?
You know what put
Don't
it
lie.
You know what
Don't
put it
lie.
over the top of me was when she said she was in the Nutcracker.
Oh, because we knew.
She didn't quite have that ballerina type of.
She didn't have a.
Nah, I don't want.
No. So
have
that's how the cancer came up. Remember, I said, let's get a limo.
Oh,
We'll
that's
all
right.
go
We're all
in.
going to watch her.
Nutcracker.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the next day, she has cancer.
She sent she sent herself flowers to congratulate. She was trying to say it was from someone else, congratulating for making the Nutcracker. Yeah,
Wow.
Oh, no, she was crazy.
Oh yeah, she was crazy.
Yeah.
she was
good.
crazy.
She was crazy.
Wow.
I hope she's watching and realizes that we thought you were crazy back then.
Boy, I don't know. I think we got a lot in.
Yeah.
It was only for about a 2-minute period.
If this nutty person is watching,
Yeah.
we taped this show in a bunker down the Cape.
Please don't track us down.
Oh, I was going to say California or something like that.
Our names have changed.
Yeah.
Right.
To protect the innocent.
To protect the innocent. I know. Boy, we got. I think
A lot going on.
I got to go.
So the first 15 minutes, and then 3 minutes of a lot of information, and then so that's all right. I think we did pretty good.
That's kind of our MO.
That's pretty good.
That's why everybody loves us and our numbers are up.
I
A
know.
little
they're huge.
information, a lot of foolishness.
Yep, exactly.
All right,
Thanks for
we're gonna go.
joining us here. I know this is.
I got
good.
shit to do.
I know. I got places to be.
Trigger warning.
Thanks for joining us here, Tony V, Kathy Holtshouser. This has been awesome. Middle of the summer here, and I appreciate you guys coming in.
Sweating.
And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Café, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.